Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's quickly get some of this information out for you before we get into the meat of our conversation tonight. Let's tell you that the back and forth or the conversation around justice delivery in Nigeria. Now we've gotten the response from the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, who on this program a few days ago spoke about the pace of work in the judiciary in relation to high-profile cases. When the Chief Justice of Nigeria's office responded to him yesterday, now we are getting a response from the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. His office, in a statement today, says that on the issue of justice dispensation, is not blame the judiciary. The Attorney General says that he accords respect to the democratic provisions of the doctrine of separation of powers among the three independent and separate arms of government. He went further to say that it's maintained, the federal government under the Buhari administration has maintained the sanctity of the provisions of Section 4, 5, and 6 of the Constitution and the responsibilities of the different arms of government. He said it was on that note that the federal government supported the review of Section 121, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic to accommodate the provisions of financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary, majorly saying there's no blame on the judiciary. Well, there's been some series of meetings of some eminent Nigerians. The aim of their meeting is to unite the country as Nigeria faces a very critical moment of power transition and a major election year. A group of 100 political and business leaders, which came under the edges of the 2022 committee, says they have no business supporting any aspirant to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari in 2023, but rather interested in ensuring that quality leaders emerge at all levels in the next general elections. They met with President Buhari at the presidential villa a few days ago. And over the weekend, they held another meeting. This time, it was, we gathered that the likes of Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, Nigeria billionaire Femi Otedola, several governors sitting and former governors and former Senate president and also sitting federal lawmakers were in attendance at that meeting over the weekend. And their plan, according to them, is to forge a consensus for a national rebirth. Tonight, I have one of the co-conveners of the 2022 committee, Mr. Kashim Imam, a two-time PDP governorship candidate in Borno State. He was a Third Republic Borno State chairman of the Socio-Democratic Party, SDP. He was appointed the presidential liaison to the Senate at the start of President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration. He is a farmer, a banker, a politician, the president of the King's College Old Boys Association, and the chairman of TETFON, chairman of the Forced Guarantee Pensions. Mr. Kashim Imam joins us right here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Good evening, viewers.
What gave birth to the 2022 committee?
Very genuine concerns about the situation in the country, whether it's the economy, which is very critical, by the way, insecurity, the political transition. I'm sure you'd agree with me that all is not well with our country. So majority of us from across the political divide, and also even those that are prominent, very prominent, from what the list you just read, we were able to bring under the same, in the same room, all the leading lights in this country, whether in the field of business, in the field of politics, and I made the point that amongst all the politicians, we are able to attract politicians from across the divide. So our concern is our country. Nigeria is literally, practically on the brink, and we felt that something needed to be done and needed to be done urgently. If something is not done urgently, we run the risk of losing this country. Now, yes, we've been active. Yes, everybody has had the committee, on 2022 committee, in the past 3 weeks or so. But we've been talking, we've been meeting across both political and non-political lines, across party lines for us and politicians for the past 2 years. It is that effort that culminated in the series of meetings that we've had in the past 3
Okay. So,
weeks.
in essence, if you look at it, there was some, well, unfounded now, because there are some deniers. Before 2015 election, there were talks that from the United States, there are some reports, although now denied and say is unfounded, that Nigeria was going to break, that election was going to be a make or mar for Nigeria. Does it look like the description that was made in 2015, and I'm making reference to what you said, that Nigeria is on the brink? If you can give us an idea of what exactly you're talking about.
Now, I agree with you that there are genuine concerns prior to the elections in 2015. There are also very serious, very genuine concerns that things were not right. But it tells you about the resilience of our country. Somehow, even when we're on the brink, even when things are terribly wrong, we have managed to patch up and to survive as a nation. I also believe that even this time is precisely going to somehow we'll get out of this mess. But it is not just enough to barely get out of the mess. We must find lasting solutions to our national problems. We must find, in particular, the economy. Across the country, there's hunger. And it is the economic situation, if you ask me, that is breeding the problem of insecurity. As the adage goes, a hungry man is an angry man. I probably saw this very early in the day coming, and I'd been expressing concerns for maybe approximately 30 years. As far back as 1990, I was chairman of the Social Democratic Party in Borno. So we used to go on campaigns in the early 90s. If we go drive into the local government headquarters, I will see young boys, literally in their thousands. They'll be chasing our convoy. And I'll look at my wristwatch, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I would say to myself that, look, we're going to pay a very great price for this. These kids ought to be in school. It's those small boys that were probably 4, 5, 6 years old then that have now grown to become Boko Haram, bandits, you just name it. And our situation actually keeps deteriorating. We keep moving from bad to worse. And right. I also want to say that...
Okay. Sorry, please land on that thought, because I'm going to ask you a very critical question now.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so you are being on the board of companies. You sit down, you strategize. You look at the problems and try to find solutions to the problem. So let me ask you, what is the worst case scenario if we fail to get it right in 2023?
Well, that is a difficult one. I'm not a seer. But it's right to... Now, let's even look at it this way. Look at the situation in every sector. Our institutions, across board, all have literally, practically collapsed. Whether it's the academia, it's for us politicians, it is the elites in business, but critically, significantly, that even the judiciary, things are definitely, certainly not right. So almost every institution that you look at, it's decaying, it's literally collapsing. Take the Anambra elections as an example. Across party lines, both of the major, even if you include ABGA, 3, probably there are also 1 or 2 smaller parties that there were like 40, 50 aspirants. Each of those aspirants had a valid, subsisting court judgment in his pocket. delivered by different judges. In worst case scenario, so some were obtaining judgment from KB. The elections is in Anambra, some in Jigawa, like that. That our situation is that bad. Even you, the media, you are not immune from it. Long ago in the past, we had problems, small. So you are driving on the road and you come across the policeman and he says, "Oga, your boy is greeting you." Yes, that then it was not so bad. But today, as I said, nobody is immune from the madness. And nobody should hold either the president or one party responsible for the mess. The president has explained that in spite of his best intentions and his best efforts, he is constrained by the fact that this is a political regime. When first he became president, head of state, he came as a military head of state. He said that at that time he assumed everybody guilty until proven otherwise. Today, as civilian president, he has to assume everybody innocent until proven guilty. So the two dispensations were radically different. And all of us, I want to say this, with all sense of responsibility, every single one of us is guilty. Nobody can exonerate himself. So, but we felt that something ought to be done for us to fix the country, for us to put things right, so that our businesses will work, the political climate will be better.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Imam, I asked that question because if anybody had a terminal disease, sometimes doctors will say, you have 2 years, you have 3 years, or you can live for as long as you want if you do this, if you do that. Sometimes it's good to know what the problems are and what is the need for you if you take it. So the question is, what is the 2022 committee offering Nigeria?
We met in Lagos on Sunday, as you rightly observed, and I'm confirming the fact that, yes, we met. We had a plenary where these critical fundamental issues and areas were addressed. We had participants who are not just in their 80s, but closer to the age of 90. We also had the younger ones between the ages of 30, 40, so that nobody is left out. I wanted to hear all the different perspectives. After the plenary, we broke into committees, one on the economy, the second one on security, the third one on political transition. And so the whole of Saturday was devoted to committee work. On Sunday, the different committees presented their reports to the wider house again. So all 100 of us met to receive the report of the committees and also to ask very fundamental questions from the chairman, the co-chairman of the various committees. What solutions are we providing? We met first under Chatham House rules. We have I can make general comments like this, but we will not be presenting the report formally until we reconvene here in Abuja on Sunday. After that, we'll put our findings and our resolutions before Nigerians.
Okay, so initially, when we started this conversation, you told us about the danger in us not heeding to the need of fixing Nigeria's problems before 2023 election. So I assume that your major objective is when there is going to be a new leadership, there's supposed to be an influence on that new leadership to do the right thing. So legally speaking, all of these recommendations, how do you hope to make it effective or to make it happen, to make it justiciable or to make it effective for the use of the nation? Now, because you are not set up by anybody, any legal body in the land.
We actually, that is the reason and the justification for the fact that we met across party lines is also the main reason that we did not restrict it to politicians. We said to ourselves that, especially the politicians amongst us, that we are all Nigerians. Everybody is feeling the pinch. So it was necessary for us to also to involve critical players in the economic sphere, in particular from the private sector. How do we get everybody to implement our findings? Again, very simple. We are trying to draw templates as to what must be done. And in drawing these templates, we felt that both parties should be involved. We believe that regardless of who, let me now talk about the presidency, which is the most critical one, most important one. Whoever emerges from whichever party, since critical elements from the two parties participated in our meetings, in the retreat, in profound solutions, we hope that whoever it is that emerges will abide by these templates that is carefully put together. Now, aside from this, we are also concerned about the quality of leadership. And the leadership, this leadership is not restricted only to who becomes president. The Senate is a very important institution. The House of Representatives is also a very important institution. The Judiciary, we recognize, is also another equally important institution. The predominance of those in the critical sectors of the economy at the retreat also shows that they are not left out. But what is most important is the interest that this has generated across this country. Mm-hmm. What is also equally important is that somebody like Aliko Dangote, Abdusamad Isaka Rabiu, Jimovia, Antonio Lumelu, Herbert Wigwe, Atedo Peterside, Udo Doma, Foladiola, Femi Otedola. I can go on and on and on. That men of caliber will leave everything that they are doing, everything, and lock themselves up in a hotel for 3 days is in itself encouraging. Encouraging, encouraging. See, once upon a time, men of this caliber probably will not even bother themselves. So that is this genuine interest shows that there's concern, there's the interest, there's the determination that this time we must do things differently.
You know, the reason I'm asking this, we are all students of history. We learn every day from what has happened in the past. It's so encouraging when you hear these stories about how Nigerians, loyal Nigerians, come together to want to forge, like you said, consensus for national rebirth. Even that title alone gives some kind of courage and some kind of hope for Nigeria within the next, for the next coming years. But the question is, the Civil Onsai report, anybody that had gone through that document, we know it's a fantastic piece of document that could help the civil service in this country. It's gathered dust. The 2014 confab, a lot of people will say, these are eggheads of the country that came across ethnic divisions in this country, came together to produce that document, gathering dust. The question is, as fantastic as this idea of the 2022 committee is, how do we make it work for it to be practical for the 2023 election?
Well, before I say that I agree with you, I just want to ask you, did you plant some gadget somewhere in the hall where we are meeting? Because as you are speaking, I was saying to myself that, look, are we well? These are issues that kept coming up. And the key word is implementation.
Absolutely.
That is not enough for us to meet, to brainstorm, to come up with brilliant ideas, as to how this country can move forward. But the critical thing is the implementation.
Absolutely. Have you thought about that?
I said we debate. It was, I said, like, as either you have some gadgets or you have.
Maybe it's dropped on.
Yes.
Because a lot of people will say Nigeria is not. We're not lacking in fantastic ideas. We are perhaps some of the most brilliant people you can find across the world. Wherever you find Nigerians, fantastic people, intellectuals. But the question of implementation of whatever ideas that we have.
My take on this is even much deeper, in the sense that, number one, we have a population of 200 million, and that the Nigerian population is very young, very dynamic, very active, not aging. If you look at the population in Japan, in Germany, in Italy, across Western Europe, their population is aging. As young, strong, dynamic, creative, also very educated. If you Google who are the best educated people, even in the United States, it comes up with just one word: Nigerians. So it's not just that we have a young, strong population, but also a population that is very highly educated. Now, that is just one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, God has blessed this country with every natural resource that you can think of, crude oil. And it's not just that we've been blessed with crude oil, with timber. So our crude is the best in the world. Timber, we have the best in the world. It's only in Nigeria that you find ebony, the black ebony grown in the wild, Amazonia, mahogany, teak. You just name it, the best. Every natural resource again, whether it's gold, if you scratch our surface like this in different parts of the country, in some parts you find limestone, in Enugu and some other states you find coal, in Zamfara you find gold, and I can go on and on.
And we have failed to be able to harness all of these resources.
Exactly. And that is the essence of and the rationale behind our meetings.
All right. So
that something must be done.
And drastically
and
too.
Done quickly. That is the key word.
This on the final note, let's wrap up on this note. The nation, the minds of intellectuals and well-meaning Nigerians have been opened up about this idea of a national rebirth and forming a consensus, forging a consensus. So the eyes of the nation and the people will be on the 2022 committee to be able to walk the talk. And this is not going to be a talk shop. On a final note, can you tell us that it's part of your agenda to ensure that every political party that's represented will ensure that they will bring to the fore, bring a flag bearer that equality, so that if Nigerians are picking, they're picking impeccable personalities for the presidents in 2023. Can you guarantee that?
Well, there are two parties in this country.
And there are multi-parties, but two major.
Two major. There are only two. Like we Kingsmen from King's College, we say that there are only two secondary schools, two colleges in Nigeria, King's College and the rest. In this case, we have only two political parties, major parties. Now, look at it this way. Okowa was in the hall. Obasaki was in the hall. Tambol was in the hall. This is now on the side of the PDP. Bapara was there. Okonkoso was there. Bukola Saraki was there. So all the critical players on the side of the PDP were there. Also, on the side of the APC, Governor of IME, Governor Bagudu of Kebbi, Governor Badaru, Governor Umahi, Governor Ben Ayade, Governor Nasru El-Rufai, critical elements. So Pius Ayin was there. There were three former Senate presidents. Kenyan Amani was there. Pius Ayin was there. We assembled 100 presidential materials. 100. Any of whom can efficiently serve as President of the Federal Republic, all of whom have distinguished themselves in their various different fields. If those gathered in that room do not solve our problems, then we're in trouble.
I was going to close this conversation the last 30 seconds or so, but it's also important for you to tell Nigerians the guarantee that they can have that this committee is for the common good of the Nigerian people and not end up for a few self-seeking people.
I think I personally have addressed this repeatedly. This is beyond any individual. Absolutely. This is not being done to promote. There is no hidden agenda. It's what I've said. It's a lot of it, you've repeated it yourself. So what is at stake is Nigeria. This is for Nigeria.
All right.
Thank you.
We probably will bring you back, Mr. Kashim Imam, because I know this is a continuing conversation.
I didn't say that I want to come back.
We will bring you back. Because it's a continuing conversation until we achieve the national consensus on national rebate.
I'll give you my agent's number. You will call him, you discuss the terms, you discuss the fees. Seriously.
I know you're a businessman.
And then once I hear that, look, channels have made good, I'll be back.
I know you're a businessman.
Yes, I
but
am. Because
we're coming to a consensus for a national rebirth, you do it as a lawyer Nigerian.
There will be no fee.
Without fee.
Well, everything. I've had different programs on channels, including TED form programs, different ones, political programs, and on each occasion, we had to pay.
You will have to pay because this is a business endeavor.
Exactly. So as you rightly
if I come to your farm, I have to pay for your product.
I'm also.
Thank you so much, Mr. Imam, for coming here today. Mr. Imam is the co-convener of the 2022 committee, a group of Nigerians who are coming together to forge a national consensus for rebirth.